Okay, and welcome to the pod. So, we're going to talk about all kinds of things to do with indie artists, music, maybe a little bit of mixing. We'll see how we get on. And today we're going to talk about a current hot topic. There's nothing like a good dose of fear-mongering to get the blood pumping. So, this week's indie artist outrage is directed at a small line in Bandcamp's terms and conditions. It's located in the intellectual property rights-artists section of the agreement, and it reads, and I hope you got a drink and are sitting down because this is dry. Each artist uploading music to the service grants company and its authorized sub-licensees and distributors, if any, the worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free right and license to 1. Reproduce, distribute, publicly perform, including on a through-to-the-audience basis and by means of a digital audio transmission, publicly display, create derivative works of, communicate to the public, synchronize, and otherwise exploit, ... Now the line, create derivative works of, has been singled out to assume that means it can be used to train AI models, which is of course causing the concerns of today as, hey, AI is the buzzword of the moment and we see companies releasing products trained on people's music. There's also a bunch of other stuff in that particular sentence to do with things like the way streaming services deliver music to you. Does it happen instantly? No, they have to actually download a file to your machine, which is cached, which is then played. So they're covering their asses. Now, remember, legalese is weaselese, and we have courts that decide daily what interpretation of the specific wording in a contract is correct, depending on who's suing who, or indeed something as heavy-duty as what the Constitution really means. So, I guess people might have a point. If you read further, there's also another line later about IP, specifically about your branding, which reads, solely in connection with the service or in the marketing, promotion, or advertising of the service, including all forms of marketing, promotion, and advertising materials now known or hereafter created. Now, that says they can only use it in connection with the service and primarily for advertising. The funny part is they're talking about advertising materials now known or hereafter created, meaning that maybe they want the ability to project your logo on the moon. They can't quite do it yet, but want to cover themselves for the future. And that, my listeners, is how this kind of legal terminology works. So, reading is too difficult and time-consuming. I get it. It's far easier to be outraged and respond to a tweet, which is acting as engagement bait, right? But since we're here, let's focus on that AI topic for a minute. It could be used to train an AI model if some lawyer decided it could, right? Well, if I owned a Weasel AI music company, I'd train it on songs that were successful, not just another tune that has slipped under the radar that sounds pretty much like all the other tunes that slipped under the radar. I'm not being mean. I'd do that because my sell of my AI product would be that the model would produce commercially viable music. As much as we like to believe our own creations are magical flowers, they're not all magical flowers. Think about it. If they do train AI on millions of generic beats, then the AI engine will produce, that's right, more generic beats, which will actually give those people, hopefully like you, who are truly creative, an advantage, as their work won't sound like the sum average of all of the mid-tunes the model has been trained on. And that's the key. Anything that really works in life and connects with people tends to have a twist, an angle, and that's the beauty of you being you. If you think about it, your musical taste is the product of you training yourself on all of the music you've ever listened to and enjoyed from childhood to now. There's even a New York Times study which showed that it's very likely your favorite song is one from your preteen to teenage years, and even though we evolve, most of what we love is tied to our early development, perhaps from a time when music was more dominant in our lives and the mundane, time-consuming reality of everyday adulthood has taken over. However, you, as a human, have that data set, to use their language about art, plus all of the things that make you human, from emotion to randomness to borderline insanity. So don't worry, there's hope. If you make objectively generic crap, yes, do worry. It was nice knowing you. You will be replaced by a subscription AI model. People or companies that just want background filler music, like I'm probably going to use in this podcast, will also use these services. Or so will people who are just plain cheap, reducing the market for that kind of material. However, that would probably create saturation if everyone uses it, and it won't really cause an emotional connection to people. And again, if, let's say, an ad agency wants to win, they'll probably have to seek out the special and the unique. Yes, ideally, your music. If you think about commercials, quite often they use hits we already like to convince us the product is as cool as a song we love. Or use a song that sometimes has a vibe, lyric, or creates a feeling that helps shove the advertiser's message into our lizard brains. And if you're towards the sharp end of being a creative, I'm happy to say it's possible the art you create may well become the favorite tune of someone in their early 20s somewhere on the planet and go on to influence them to making something great later down the line. So don't worry, read beyond the headline. Be you, be unique, and that's the way to beat this stuff. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this brief discussion. Do let me know, and I'll see you next time on the pod.